Yeah, assalamu alaikum. This is Brother Clifton Raheem Bradley, and I'm going to get right to work. Right to work. And this podcast is coming to you from the United States of America in Chicago. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to do is talk about the Trump administration. And you know what? There are Democrats that are not happy with what is going on. They don't like Sanctuary City, and plus the government is shut down. Okay, and they're going to resolve this. How long is it going to take for them to resolve this issue? I just don't know. You know, and what do you think about the government shutting down? What do you think about it? Okay, and you know what? I had a guest that was supposed to come on, Brother Glenn Herrell. And sure, it's not intentional because you know what? Me and him drank coffee just about every single day. But what I wanted to do is get a Democrat's independent perspective of the Trump administration, and what unfortunately that did not work out. You know what? And the thing is, but that does not stop you from calling in 312-884-9757. And I'd like to know, what do you think about the government shutdown? Is it legitimate to shut down the government and not negotiate things? Because there is something in the bill that each party does not like. Does leadership bring people to the table no matter what happens? But they one of the main issues is that the Democrats, what I understand, they want Medicare for everyone, every citizen. Okay, whether you're in this country legally or not legally. And the Republicans are strongly opposed to this. But had to remember one thing: the Democrats lost the election. They lost the election. So um it's just something else. And and I'm I am I'm not going to say that I'm torn, because I'm not torn, because I believe in one thing. I believe that people that lawfully come into the country, that they are entitled. Okay, and people out there that do not agree with me, and you know what? I get it, but you do have to take other aspects in consideration, because the United States has done things to destabilize Central America and countries in their hemisphere. Okay, and the government, U.S. government is good. From reports is, what they may have been split in helping to get some of the drugs from Central America, Mexico, to the United States of America, which we know, what, according to documented proof, that the CIA has bought drugs in. I had people bring drugs in. So, in a sense, the United States, is guilty of causing destabilization. But on the other hand, there are people that have been waiting in line. There are people that have followed the process to come into the United States of America. You know, it's just fair to them with people that did not follow the rules. I mean, Chicago, it's all type of ICE agents. But first, you know what? I have a video that want you to see, and I want to talk about the crises, about the government being shut down. And I thought it was interesting. I really did. And I don't know how, I really don't know how it's going to end. I don't know. Don't- Who knows? Okay. But let me get on to the video, you know, and hope it's loud enough. And I will get out of the way. And we talk about global news. Who knows? You might be my next guest. Thank you.
To pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the.
Well, we're going to see, but the radical left Democrats want to shut it down. I mean, it's up to them. We have a great economy going. You saw the numbers yesterday. They're fantastic. The economy's doing well. Prices are down. We have virtually no inflation. Everything's going good. We're respected by every nation in the world. And you know what happened? The Democrats want to shut it down. And they want to shut it down because they want to give billions, ultimately trillions of dollars to illegal migrants, people that came into our country illegally. Some of those people are criminals, but they came into our country illegally, and they want to give them the essential over years, trillions of dollars, and our people aren't going to stand for it. They also want to have open borders. They want to have men and women's sports. They want to have transgender for everybody. These people are crazy, the Democrats. So if it has to shut down, it'll have to shut down. But they're the ones that are shutting down.
Pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong. I won't stop to the.
So, this is such a strong response. This is such a this is just a this is a strong response to the Democrats from the Republican side. This is strong. And you know what? But there are a lot of people, this has impacted a whole lot of lives. But we do have to remember that President Trump, he won by a big, huge mandate. So it's like the Democrats are saying, you know what, we'll take our ball and we'll go home and we'll shift the blame on you. And now the Republicans are saying basically the same thing, but you have to take one thing in consideration. The United States is a democratic country. Okay. So and therefore that the people made the decision that people that came in from different countries were not entitled to benefits like Medicare and Social Security if they did not follow the process. And really interested in knowing what do you think about it. The telephone number is 312-884-9757. If you have a question in regards to this, or you have a suggestion, you have a comment, who knows? Somebody in the government may be looking at this broadcast. You know what? You may be the individual that may put a seed, plant a seed, and the individual may say, you know what? Maybe you're right, because you know what? It's a democracy, and the people call the shots in the United States of America. You know, in spite of what's getting ready to go on in New York, I mean, you get ready to have I believe you get ready to have a socialist mayor in New York, and I think is there something wrong with that? This is year 2000 and 2025. Is there something wrong with the government sharing and having a co-op filling station, having a co-op grocery store? Is there something wrong with that? Okay, is there something wrong? And you know, it's just interesting that the tides appear to be turning. But again, talking about the budget deficit, and I think I say this is a point to where where the Republicans do not want to give in, but you cannot blame President Donald Trump in year 2025 because these are campaign promises that he ran on. And what is he supposed to do? Stick his head up underneath the sand like an ostrich, you know? And some people that say, hey, you know what? Donald Trump is doing exactly what he said he was going to do, but individuals had the opportunity to go to the polls if they were so opposed. They were so opposed. I mean, the man has something like about over 300 rallies. Okay, so it's just interesting. And you know what's your comment on it? What do you think? What is your suggestion? What is your idea about this? Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the next video. The next video is that there are Democrats that are complaining. They're upset. They're stewing in their own juices, and he won by mandate. Okay, and I have excerpts of Stephen A. of ESPN being on the View television show. You know what? Talking about why Democrats are so upset. I guess I just leave the screen like that. And telephone number is: did you vote for Donald Trump? Did you vote against him? Why did you vote against him? Why did you vote for him? Why did you vote for Kamala Harris? Okay. And here it is. She wasn't even really nominated. I'm talking about there should have been an open caucus where it should have gave Democrats the opportunity to choose their selected candidate. Okay. And she's got a new book where she downs President Biden because she's alleging that President Biden really didn't want her to win. But go back to Donald Trump. I want y'all to see this interview with Stephen A. of ESPN. He's a sports announcer. He's gonna have a political show too, and get feedback, and I will comment on it. Okay.
Voter turnout in his favor from the standpoint of blacks, Latinos, and young voters. He increased his numbers in that regard from 2020. 89% of the counties shifted to the right. That's a mandate. We can sit up there and play around all we want to. In 2020, Trump didn't win the popular vote. He didn't win the electoral college vote. A matter of fact, the Republicans hadn't won the popular vote, if I remember correctly, since 2004. But they did this year. So 20 years after they last won a popular vote, they won the popular vote. They won the electoral college vote. The man won every swing state. And on top of it, 89% of the counties shifted against. I don't understand how people can look at that and say, there's no mandate. There's a mandate.
Well, it's a different definition of a mandate, I guess.
But the problem is that if you're the Democratic Party and you lost 49.8% to 48.3%, and you're looking at that 1.5% dip, that's an excuse for you to say, what we did really wasn't that bad.
Some people didn't
we should continue to do that. Don't continue to do it. Find a new strategy.
So, see, when we really sit down and analyze things, there are a bunch of Democrats. And you know what I have just been overwhelmed. You know what? This is one of the reasons that I am doing this show, because you know what? There people have asked me to do a show on this. That they complain. But the thing is, the same zeal that the Democrats and the so-called independents that went the other way, why didn't they come with the same zeal or the same excitement and energy to oppose him? Okay, if you were so much against him, and to say that he did not win by a big mandate, this is crazy. As far as I'm concerned, how? And he won swing states. He won Pennsylvania. Okay. Hey, I live in Chicago. Chicago almost flipped red. For people that don't know what I mean by flip red is red signifies a Republican state, blue signifies a Democratic state. Okay. And you know what? He got what 21% of the overall black vote. There was something about the Democratic Party that just it did not resonate with the majority of voters. And I got an idea it's because of these stances on policies. And I always tell people, Kamala Harris, okay, she's probably a very nice person. She was. But the thing is, her policies. Why would you be the border czar? Okay, be in charge of the border czar, but there are people that are coming across the borders in impunity. Okay, and they're going to sanctuary states like Chicago, New York, and California by the droves. And you know what's fascinating to me is they said they want to send the guards to these states. They're Democratic and they want to send ICE. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Of course he wants to. Because these are people, these are governors, Governor Pritzker, Adams, okay, in New York, and Nabin Newsom of California, and Brandon Mark. This money that is going into these states, okay, is supposed to be allocated for American citizens. But yet they turn around and say they turn around and say, you know what? Say to their constituents, their voters, you know what? We're running a budget deficit. You have veterans that are sleeping up underneath bridges. I'm a veteran. Okay. So in other words, that what by letting them in to Chicago, New York, and California and other sanctuary cities, what they're doing is they're putting a drainage on Medicare and Social Security, and they have not contributed one dime. But you got people that have stood in line and followed the process. They followed the process. And, I dare you say that, you know what, I don't want the National Guards to come to Chicago or to New York. What are you talking about? But because the lawlessness that is going on in your cities, it's just pathetic. It is pathetic. And you say we're picking on them. You're getting federal money. You're getting funding. And for Chicago, Illinois, from year 2025, they have just taken money from transportation, federal money. Okay, because one of the reasons is because they have these mayors, these governors, they have violated federal law. So if you have violated federal law, why would you be entitled to federal money? Now, if I'm wrong, you know what? Call me on it. You know what? Because telephone number is 312-884-9757. I'm in the United States of America, and leave a message in the chat room. And you know what? I'm going to go to another video. I'm just getting warmed up. And okay, let's do this.
I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out.
Help! Help!
A new CBS News data analysis shows how the deployment of National Guard troops is affecting crime in the nation's capital.
And its location, and we can see things that are related, we think, to the presence of an extreme amount of additional law enforcement. We're seeing less violent crime incidents reported to the police, at least. Fewer assaults, fewer murders, fewer gun crimes. one of the things that's been plaguing the city with auto thefts down 36%, and so we looked at this time period of these few weeks that there have been these.
Call it word of mouth, can't put me down. I'll be getting loud. You can have it douse. Not what I'm about.
I have never seen a president more off than Donald Trump.
I'm gonna stop this. And you know what? I would say the audacity, the it's blatant. It's just blatant disregard for the citizens in Chicago and New York and California to say, you do not want the National Guards to come there. Because the reason that Mayor Adams, who's dropped out of the New York political race, and Mayor Johnson and Pritzker, okay, and Pritzker, okay. And Pritzker dropped out. Adams dropped out of the race. He did. Let me do this a little better so y'all can see. And the thing is, it's blatant. It's craziness. Why would you not want the National Guards to come to New York, okay, to California, to Chicago? Because there's reckless, and there are young people that are going downtown. That in Chicago, there's a curfew law that is not even being enforced. It's not being enforced. Okay. And here it is. You have once the National Guards went to Washington, D.C., which what happened is the criminal activity dropped. Okay. It went down. I'm talking about the rate that people were committing crime. It went down, and the murder rate went down. Okay. So you're telling me, Mr. Mayor, okay, Mr. Governor, you do not want the guards there if the mere presence of National Guards being in downtown or in Chicago, New York, and California can stop one homicide. You're saying, I don't want them here. So let the homicide go on. So how could it stop? What I'm saying is it's a preventative measure. Okay. So in other words, if an individual sees National Guards and they're thinking about committing a murder or doing something heinous or robbing somebody because they see the National Guards, you know what they say? You know what? I don't think this is a good idea to do this right now. This is not a good idea. It's just not. So it is a preventative measure. No one says that the National Guards will stop 100% of the crime. That's a fool that makes a statement like that. But it's a preventative measure. It's a preventative action. It's just like you have an alarm system on your house. I having a gate around your house. Okay, that is what it is like. It is like that. But the reason these governors in sanctuary cities like Chicago, New York, and California do not want the presence of the National Guards because it implies, it says that we have failed. We have failed in protecting our citizens. We have failed in reducing criminal activity. And you know what? And it's a known fact, okay, that criminal activity in Washington, D.C., since the National Guards did come, has decreased. I use my hand, it has went down, and there has been no homicides. But rather than say, I don't want to look bad, okay, and have them do their jobs and being a deterrent, I'm going to keep them out of our state. So regardless of whether someone gets hurt, killed, or robbed, you don't care about that. You care about your next election to Gavin, to Brandon Johnson to J.B. Pritzker, who will be running for president. It's possibility he's going to run for president of the United States after 2025. Trump leaves office. And also Adams, which he dropped out of the race in New York, and you should have a socialist mayor in New York. But it is an implication that they have failed. They have done wrong. I have gotten on the phone and called the police, and it took a half an hour for them to get there. Okay. But in Chicago on the north side, if you call, it's just like it's something that's wrong with that. But I'm gonna give you evidence that the criminal activity has decreased in Washington, D.C. I think that I just showed that, and that's a little blooper. I guess I used it. And I'm going to let you hear what Mayor Johnson has the premeditated gall to say. We do not need the National Guards. We do not need a deterrent to have somebody to think twice about committing criminal activities in Chicago, or to think about pulling the trigger and taking somebody's life because he's thinking about him, Prizder too, the governor. He's thinking about the next election, and I can guarantee you that these governors and these mayors, they have security. Okay, they have security. Okay, around them, and then they probably have the police, agents parked in front of their homes. But the average, very citizens that put them in, it's no regards to that because it says that they have failed. Okay, but I strongly disagree with the Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson. But I'm going to let you hear about what he has to say in regards to this issue.
Trump, just off the rockers. He's exacerbating the problem here. Again, like running amok around this country, shredding our Constitution. He's dangerous. We have seen this before. And inch by inch, he continues to see what he will get away with. I wish it were just a joke. He's one. But it's antithetical to what we're actually working to accomplish here. This is not just about Mayor Brandon Johnson in this moment. This is about one nation that he is working overtime to divide and conquer.
And it is very, very interesting. It is very, very interesting that an individual would say he is trying to divide, and the very constituents that voted him in office, he does not want a deterrent to stop people from possibly committing a crime. He does believe that it is okay for people that came into the country illegally to drain or to take money, a capital from Medicare. And at some point, once they reach retirement age, they may be they did not contribute to Social Security. And in Chicago, you had migrants that were sleeping in police stations where you had bums, people that were disenfranchised sleeping up underneath bridges, and veterans sleeping up underneath bridges. I don't get the logic. I mean, even in Chicago, they paved a big huge ground to house the migrants, and spent over thousands of dollars to pave it. And then they said, you know what? We can't put anything there because the ground is contaminated. The accusation is that 9 times out of 10, probably somebody that was connected to his campaign told him, you know what, pave it, do this for my friend, you probably get so and so if you pay this, because anytime you spend this type of money to make payment and housing for somebody, there's an inspector that comes out. There's an inspector that comes out and surveys the land. Okay. And to determine was it liable to put property in. It's like Mayor Emanuel. Mayor Emanuel, I'm going back now. Mayor Emanuel of Chicago, he was wrong. He misallocated TIF money and helped DePaul University build a basketball stadium. Okay, and Chicago is corrupt. I mean, to a certain degree. They gave, like for example, in Chicago, I'm going off cue for a minute. Chicago, for an example, they gave big property owners downtown big tax breaks, but they put that load on people on the south side, the east side, and west side of Chicago. And this is just a corrupt city. But I imagine, but getting back to Mayor Johnson, I strongly disagree. I oppose it. I don't think it's right. I don't think that it's wrong. What do you think? You think I'm right? I'm wrong? Do you think the mayor's right for having sanctuary city and not letting the gods? I just don't think it's right. And but you know what? I got another video to go to, and you know what? If you're liking this, please, you know what? Please, it would help the channel if you press the like button. You leave a message, because what happens is, it sends a message to the internet algorithms. Okay, they give them a little massage, and it tells people, you know what, this is good content. Hey, we're gonna go ahead and recommend it. I do show called The Underground Railroad. It comes on every Saturday night at 10:30 in Chicago on Channel 19 at 10:30 p.m. But the link to the channel will be in the description. So no matter where you live, you can see the Underground Railroad, but you can see us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on this YouTube platform. But getting back to this, it's something that is going on in the United States, something that is going on. And these are things, and like I said, I want to get a guest on to talk about it, because like I said, I have very strong feelings, and you know what? But what I wanted was a Democratic's view of what do they think about the Trump administration and these, not him, his policies. Okay. And there are people that have hard feelings in Chicago, pretty sure in New York and California too. But what happened is, I'm going to play the video and then I'm going to get out the way. There are people with hard feelings. Okay. I'm going to play this.
Help! Help!
Get rid of the illegals, and that'll take your money right back.
You're a criminal. Why do I got to address you? The feds need to address you. DOJ need to address you, and hopefully Donald Trump will address you, because you're going to protect the undocumented while you're going to allow for the citizens in Chicago to suffer.
Oh, come on. You leave that loser where he is. He's a loser. He's a loser.
About the good old sugar tax. Y'all remember, y'all used to back in 2016, and you go to your favorite grocery store and you buy your favorite 24-pack of pop? Well, you paying more taxes on that pop than what the actual cost of it is. What you didn't know is that your buddy Brandon Johnson voted for that sugar tax. So it's not a surprise that he wants to pour a $40 million line of credit and put the city in even more debt than what we already are with the $1.2 billion deficit. But it's your fault that because you gave half the money to illegals. Also, it's lazy government is what you call it. So let's not forget that we got to watch these politics.
Help! Help!
So you know what? So the thing is, you know what you have. I think that you have a mayor in Chicago and a governor in Chicago that has done an disservice to the people. And I think that it is very arrogant to say that you don't need aid, you don't need assistance, even if the National Guards assisted by giving information, and it is wrong to keep ICE out. You have people that are protesting against ICE, and from my perspective, why are you protesting and even getting violent against somebody that is doing their jobs? And you know that there's someone that is violating federal law. Okay. But if I drive past a red light camera, I would get a ticket and I would not be allowed to violate the state law. And if somebody even suggested it, you would be up in arms about that. it's it's an oxymoron. As far as speed camera is, what it is it registers how fast that you're going when you're driving. Okay, did you stop at the stop sign? But you will want people to follow the state law. But the thing is, what you wouldn't want them, you would be appalled. I don't deserve the ticket. You go to traffic court and it's adjudicated. It's like a kangaroo court. Okay. And no matter what you say, you're guilty. But you want somebody, that's even like, I hate to go off, that's like in Chicago, Illinois. All this lottery money, playing the numbers. This money was supposed to be allocated to school districts. But you don't hear much talk about that. But I'm gonna go back to the image. They want you to obey ordinances, but they do. And you know what? If you don't want to obey it, what makes you think you are entitled to federal money? I don't get it. You know what? Perhaps there's somebody in the audience and you know what? So, and don't get me wrong. Okay, I feel bad about the people that are oppressed in these different nations, and I'm no fool. I know that the United States has played a hand in causing destabilization to in these other countries, but you must follow a protocol to come into the United States of America. It's like saying, I need a visa to go to Saudi Arabia. I need a visa to go to Europe. I need a visa to go to other parts of the country outside of the United States hemisphere. Okay, so let's just say I want to bum rush and sneak on a plane. Okay, sneak on the ship, and I live there. I lived there for 3 years, 1 year, and I'm reaping the benefits. Do you understand that once the African government country that finds out, of the European country that I go to, or the Asian country that I go to, find out that I am there legally, I am there illegally, I am going to be expedited back to the United States of America. This represents handcuffs. I'm going to be put on a plane and I'm going back to the United States of America because I violated the law by not having a visa or a passport. And I am going to be put in jail. I know it and you know it. Okay. So the individuals that are taking anger and frustration out on ICE agents and Donald Trump, how's you wrong? Again, you need all of this documentation to get through. But if you happen to just sneak through, believe me, they're gonna put you out. They're gonna put you out. So it's I'm gonna go back to Chicago. To say you don't need the National Guards again, and there's young people crowding downtown and destroying automobiles, breaking out windows, vandalizing. And the mayor says to the media, we can't be too hard on these people, on the youth that do this. And, I don't get it. And in Chicago, I'm pretty sure New York too, and California, there's curfew law that has been in effect since I was a little boy that has not been adhered to. It's not being obeyed. What does this say? What does that even say about the mayor before Johnson, Brandon Johnson, the governor before J.B. Prizder, who it's assumed he will run for president of the United States? I wanted to show you the recklessness that takes place in Chicago. And you know what's interesting about Chicago, New York, and California when these things happen? You don't even hold the parents accountable for their actions. I don't get it. But you know what? I'm going to play this and go ahead.
Help! Help!
Chaos on the streets of Chicago over the weekend with large groups gathering downtown. Joni has more now on how local leaders are responding.
Chicago police have been directed to strategize how they're going to deal with incidents like this as summer approaches. The rowdiness and violence that happened downtown over the weekend shocked people, and it's been seen all over the world on social media. Hundreds of teens and young adults were seen running in traffic on Michigan Avenue in the Loop, jumping on vehicles and smashing windows. Saturday night, 2 teens were shot. A 16-year-old in the arm, a 17-year-old in the leg, both taken to Northwestern Hospital. Police were trying to respond and escort people to safety, but drivers were trapped, and one woman told our Dane Flacco that her husband was driving their car and he...
Follow for more up.
Help! Help!
The grandfather was doing. Any message for your grandchildren? Great.
Because I happen to have known someone who was in the NSA.
Okay.
All right? And they don't know what they know now. I've been in their building with him. Did you see it?
Yes, sir.
And they...
Some people don't know what NSA.
National Security Administration. And when I walked up in there and seen them, I was like, wow. they got video screens. I mean, from here to 35th Street.
Those street cameras, right?
Those are the screens like you watch on a computer.
Right.
All right? They got a room where they listen to conversations all around the country. All right? That's why I can say what I said. But they let me go because he was an important person. And they figured if he was pregnant, it was all right. All right? They made a mistake, but I never forgot that.
Well, wait a minute on the wild.
So you have been.
Hello. My name is Adam.
You have been looking at the Underground Railroad. You have been looking at the Underground Railroad podcast, and we do a television show that comes on every Saturday night at 10:30 p.m. Central Time. But you can on Comcast TV, CAN TV, and I will put the link in the description where you can see the show, even if you don't live in Chicago. And also, we come on 7 days a week, 24 hours a day on YouTube and other social media platforms. And we sell t-shirts, okay, to support the Underground Railroad podcast. And thank you for your donations. And the words of Assalamu alaikum.